everybody, welcome to my channel if you're here for the first time, or welcome back if you've been with us before. My name is Heather and we are a fun, fabulous sewing channel where I am always me and I encourage all of you to be you. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I am just freshly back from a 10-day beautiful vacation in nice sunny weather, and I have to admit, really missed my studio, you guys. I did. I had worked so hard before leaving to get through all the things that I had to do. I was a little sewing burnt out, which has never happened to me before. So that little break that I took, I came back and was like, oh, I cannot wait to get back in here. I also had a little bit extra oomph, I guess, to get back in here because the bag goddess had sent me over her newest pattern, and about this time last year she came out with this bag that I knew was going to be the it fall bag, and she has done it once again. I absolutely could not say no to making this bag. I physically couldn't say I'm gonna be too busy, I have too many things to do when I get back from vacation, I won't have time. I couldn't do it because it is the cutest and it's gonna be the it bag, like, I'm sure. I want to make 8,000 of them, and you're about to see why. So today's video is a full tutorial on the Zodiac Clutch by the Bag Goddess. Are you guys ready? I don't know if you are. Don't know. Look at her. Oh my god. We still have to work out our handle a little bit, but is she not the cutest? Okay, we've got the knot, the handle. It is actually a really good sized bag. The finished dimensions, you guys, 13.5 inches wide at its widest part and 11 inches in height at its sort of highest part here on the sides. And so it's a really good size bag. We get to make this little zipper tab here. We have a perfect zipper. Perfect. Okay. And look at our inside. It's got flowers and skulls. We've got a little interior zip pocket back here as well. And it is just the absolute cutest. It's the cutest, you guys. Look at her. This is a designer inspired bag from what I understand. And it's just like, it's adorable. It's adorable. And it's not super hard to make. I would say that it is probably an advanced beginner, just because of some of the techniques that we do, like the zipper here, the handle, depending on the material. So this is a vinyl faux alligator, and it was a little rough to be moving. You have to move this knot sort of into place at the end, and that was a little rough, but there are like some really great strategies in here to make this bag super easy. And if you follow along, I think this video will be helpful to you because some of the instructions aren't, if you haven't done something like this before, you wouldn't necessarily know what it means. Not that they're bad or anything like that. They're great instructions, but for me, I'm a video girl. Like, I like to see somebody do it before I do it. And so you're gonna like make this bag and you're gonna go through the parts and pieces and you're gonna be like, I don't understand what I'm doing. This doesn't make sense. And then finally you're like, oh, I see what I'm doing. This makes sense. It's one of those bags. The second time you make it, it's going to come together so much faster because you get it. And I will tell you that if you're working through this bag and you're like, I don't get it, just keep going, because at the end it makes sense. And that's one of the things that I love about this pattern is you're doing the steps, you're getting further and further along, and you're like, what are we doing? And then all of a sudden, you turn your bag and you're working on your handle and you're like, that's what we're doing. I love patterns like that because it's kind of like a mystery. You're piecing together something amazing and you don't even know it. You don't know what it's going to look like. You're not sure if you're doing it right. And then at the end, it all comes together. And this is one of those bags. So I think you're going to love it just as much as me. I love it. I love it. I'm going to make a bunch of them probably. We'll have to think about material. Ooh, maybe jean. I bet you this would look so good in a denim material. That's what we're gonna have to do. That would be so awesome. I love that. Okay, so let's get on over to our machine. You guys, also, I will link this pattern from the Bag Goddess in the description box below, as well as everything else that we used today that I can link. We're using an interior fabric from Joann's, RIP, and so I can't link that, but it is what it is. I'll link anything that I can in the description box, as always, below. So make sure that you interact with this video. Let me know if you're gonna make this bag. Let's head on over to the machine and get going. All right, you guys, so we are at the machine, and before we talk about the machine, we will go over our materials here quickly. For our exterior pieces, we're using that faux alligator from Fabric Wholesale Direct. I've been using it in a lot of the videos recently, so if you've been watching, you've probably seen it before. I will link Fabric Wholesale Direct though below, and you just like search vinyl and you'll find this. It comes up. It's so good, you guys. So good. We're using a piece of webbing, which you will never actually see out in the wild, so it doesn't really matter what color it is. It's going to be inside the bag. It's like an internal tool used to help with the handle construction. We are using number 5 zipper tape in silver, and these are in my Amazon storefront, the zipper tapes. We're also using number 5 zipper pulls, and the pattern calls for a jump ring, but we're just going to utilize our zip pull to put our little accent in because it's a nice zip pull, and I think it'll be just fine like that. We'll set those to the side for now. And then our interior materials here are, they're from Joann's, RIP, so I can't link those. This has been in my stash for a really long time. It's a canvas, like a cotton canvas. It's not waterproof or anything like that, but I just really liked the contrast of the dark and the skulls and the flowers on the inside to the bright white exterior. So that's what we're using for materials today. And our machine, as always, is the Juki TL2010Q. We're using Tex 35 weight thread in the top and the bobbin in color white. We have a Microtex 9014 needle in, and our foot today, like most days, is a tank foot for high shank machines. The number on the side is KT141. I got mine from a shop that doesn't have them anymore, so I don't link the foot, but you can search it. Again, the number is KT141. If you're interested, it's basically a walking foot without that extra bulk for this machine. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do is actually pretty simple. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear off some of the things that we're not using so that we can work on just our little zipper accent piece. So the pattern is going to suggest that you glue this together. We're not going to do that. We're just going to put it wrong sides together, and we'll stitch. And if it moves, it moves. And we'll just sort of trim it up because obviously they're not the same width. And we're going to sew along all 4 sides at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And like I said, like you can tell, they're not the same. I measured and cut terribly. So we'll just trim them up together. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. I actually never made a zipper accent piece like this before. Been using tassels, and that has been fun. So I was like, ooh, I'm intrigued. I like it. And we're just gonna go ahead and sort of trim everything up, make it even. You won't really notice the unevenness when it's folded over on itself, but we're gonna trim it up anyways, just because. Okay. And then we're just going to take it still a little rough here. We're gonna take it and fix it. And we're just gonna sort of wrap it in here. And they say like it's cool to have one side a little bit longer than the other, so that's kind of what we'll go with. And I am going to stitch this on so that it doesn't move. But like I said, it does not have to be perfect. We're not going to stitch over our zipper piece at all. We're just going to put like a little stitch right here in the center. And there we go. Cute little zipper accent. Okay, step one is done. Easy, fun, new. There we go. All right, now we're gonna grab one of our lining panel pieces and our zip pocket pieces for the interior. All right, so I am making this tutorial during testing, and so this might be different by the time you get it, but the pattern piece for the pocket, it didn't say that you had to cut it on the fold, but you do have to cut on the fold, so just make sure you do that. You're not just cutting out this one section, you're cutting out a whole piece, okay? So you need to cut on the fold, and the pattern piece does have the zip box sort of outlined on it, and so that's easy. I love that. I love when pattern designers make it really simple for you to put your zipper. And we're gonna go about an inch away from the top here, so I'm just gonna double check that to make sure that we're pretty spot on for what we want, because we don't want to interfere with our main zipper or the construction of that at all. So that looks pretty good. Go ahead and grab just some, I use hockey tape, unconventional sewing material. But it's because I have a lot of it and it comes off easily, so we're just gonna use that to keep our pocket sort of in place where we want it. And we did use the pattern piece to draw our zip box, so we are going to just stitch, because this is an easy way to do a pocket. We're just going to stitch around the zip box totally. You can start and stop wherever you want. And just make sure when you're cutting and choosing your fabrics, you pay attention to the pattern pieces, because the main lining and main exterior do have to be mirror cut so that they match. And you also just want to make sure that you have enough width on your fabric to go ahead and make the full cut for your long handle piece. So, you know, a 54-inch width probably is going to be best. Just make sure you have what you need before you start cutting, basically, is what I'm going to tell you. The pictures of this bag look smaller than the actual bag is, and so it can be deceiving. But like in a good way, because this is actually a decent sized bag. And you guys, we put our zip panel piece right side together with our interior. So this is the back that we're looking at. So right sides are together. Forgot to mention that when we started. Right back to where we began. Okay, and we're just gonna take our air erasing marker and we're gonna Y out our zip box here on the corners, and I'll bring this closer in a second. And if you're a beginner, you'll want to just connect your Ys with a line straight down the center. We're not going to do that because we're just going to eyeball it. But you can see those Ys there. They come from the corners of the zip box, and we're going to cut a straight line all the way through the center. We're finding our seam ripper. The studio is a disaster piece, FYI, unrelated to the pattern, so I cannot find anything. All right, so we're taking our seam ripper and we're going through the pattern piece and the main lining, just enough so that we can get our scissors in there to make a nice cut down to that Y mark that we made. And then we're gonna go up and over into the corners, but not through our stitching. On both sides. There is not a lot of steps to this bag, so it's going to come together pretty quickly once you sort of get it. Once it makes sense to you. All right. And I just like to crease up and sort of against where we stitched. We'll take our tape off. And then we're going to turn our pocket panel piece through. And this material is not thick, so we're not going to have any issues with this whatsoever. Just going to turn it through. And then I'm going to go ahead and just push up on that seam where that pocket piece and the main lining meet, and I'm going to clip it while we get our zipper ready. And if you have not installed an interior zip pocket, this is a very easy construction. It is my favorite when I'm in like a rush to do an interior zip pocket because it just comes together really fast. All right, I'm going to keep clipping around this whole thing, and then we'll grab our zipper. All right, so we've got everything clipped, and now that, like I said, it's not thick, so it's going to be really easy to sew. It was easy to clip, but it doesn't crease like waterproof canvas. And if you guys have been watching, my machine has been on the struggle about double-sided tape. So the last time I put in one of these zipper pockets, I just went ahead and I winged it. That's the best term for what I did. I did not double side tape or anything like that. I just held it in place where I wanted it and then stitched it down. And so that's what we're going to do with this one as well. So if your machine is also struggling with double-sided tape, just know it is possible to do this without double-sided tape, and we're going to do it here together so you can see. We're just going to make adjustments, but we don't let anything get us down. All right. So like I said, we're not using double-sided tape, so your material is going to want to move on you, and we're just going to take it one step at a time. Okay, so not a big deal. I do have the zipper facing left when closed and open to the right. This is the back panel of my bag, and so that will match my top zipper also. So just, you do you, whatever you prefer for opening and closing your zippers. I know this doesn't make sense. I know, but I promise it's gonna work out. We're gonna be fine. Just gonna make sure that our zip extends on both sides. You're going to get a measurement that's going to tell you what size you want to make this zipper, and it's going to be long enough that you don't have to worry. All right, now we're just going to start sewing, and I know it's scary, but if you're struggling with double-sided tape, you can also do this. And we're just sewing around the entire zip box, you guys. We'll take our time as we go over the teeth. They are not metal, they're nylon, but still. If you're gonna break a needle, you're most likely gonna break it on some of these teeth. And as we sew, our zip is gonna it's gonna fall into place. And we'll just move our pull right out of the way. And then we're just going to go right back to where we started. We'll meet those stitches, go over a few, and back stitch. See? Look how good that came out, and we did not double side tape it. It is totally possible. It is doable. If I can do it, you can do it. All right. Now we're going to close our pocket in, and we're just going to melt these edges. Anytime you cut zip tape, you're going to want to melt the edges because it's going to fray like that. And melting the edges will make it so that the fraying stops and it just sort of burns in on itself. It is key. So we're just going to take our other zipper panel piece, we're going to put that right side together. And we're going to match up all the sides. So it's a pretty decent sized interior zip pocket. I think you'll be pleased with it. I love a good zip pocket in a bag. And we're going to close this pocket off completely. All right, so we've got everything clipped, and we've just turned it so that our main lining piece is facing us, and we have done that so that we can ensure we don't accidentally stitch over our main lining piece. We're just going to move that out of the way, and we're going to stitch all the way around our pocket. And one pocket piece is going to end up being longer than the other. That always happens when you do a zip pocket. When you install a zipper, it changes the dynamics of the fabric. So it's not a big deal. We're going to cut off our excess. And then we're going to go straight across the top here. And then we're just going to go ahead and trim up our extra along the entire back pocket piece so that everything just stays out of our way. But let me just show you what we have now is a totally finished, cute crescent pocket. All right, so I'm going to trim that up and then we'll grab our next pieces. All right, so we have our exterior now, which will be our front exterior. That's what we're going to call it, I think. Right? Yeah, that's what we're doing. Okay, so we have our zip cut to the length that we're supposed to cut it. We've marked the centers, and then the pattern instructions are going to tell you to measure down 17¼ inches on the long side. So this is our extra long, 2.5 inches on the short side. And then we've also we've clipped our center here. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this zip upside down. We're going to match up the center marking with our clip. And we're just going to clip this in. And this is a curved zip, so it's not going to lie flat. What really matters is just that it's flat when we're stitching over it. And it's kind of going to help if you lift up your material. You can see I'm just kind of curving that zipper myself. And then we're going to get to this mark here. And this mark is important because it's where we're starting and stopping our stitching. So I'm going to transfer that mark to our zip tape so that we can see it. And I'm just going to go ahead and clip above that as well so that our zip tape sort of stays where we want it. We'll do the same thing over here, making this mark as well. And I'm going to switch out our tank foot for our zip foot for this, because I want to get nice and close to our zipper tape so that we can not have a wavy zipper when we turn this. And this tank foot, I use it all the time, but does not get super close to zip tape. So I'm going to switch that out before we do the next step. All right, we've got our zip foot on, and we're going to go ahead and, starting from the mark, which you can see right here, we're going to stitch all the way around to the other mark. And like I said, we are going to follow the seam allowance on this. That's why we switched out our foot. We're going to make sure we backstitch as well. And we'll just be patient. We're going to take our time. We're just going to continue to sort of make sure that zip stays where we want it to. Make sure everything is lying flat. And really just make sure that what's in front of you is lying flat. Everything else doesn't matter if it's wavy, just what's in front of you. We're going to go ahead and move our zipper pull out of the way here. Good back stitch. And we got right where we wanted to. Okay, so that's what our zipper looks like at the moment. We've got extra on both sides. That's what you want. We're gonna go ahead, we're not gonna attach the lining right now. We're gonna go ahead and attach the other exterior panel exactly like we did this one, you guys. So I'm gonna do that off camera because it is exactly the same. We're just gonna take our other exterior panel, we're gonna put it right sides down, and again, we're gonna match up those exact same lines, and we're gonna stitch this the same way that we did our first exterior. All right, so this is what we're working with. We've got our both exterior pieces basted on, we're good to go. Now we're gonna take our lining piece, and we wanna make sure that we don't sew this, so we'll have to pay close attention, but we're gonna clip this lining piece right side together. This is our front without the pocket. And we're gonna clip this all the way across and up our long side because we are gonna sew this whole thing together. Okay, from top to bottom. So those lines, they don't matter anymore, but we're gonna clip everything in, and then I'll show you what that looks like, and then we'll come and stitch everything together. All right, so we're gonna keep our zip foot on for now, and we've got everything clipped together, and this is so that eventually this will turn, right? And then that will create our finished zip in here. Sorry guys, a little hard to see, but it makes sense. Now what we wanna do is we wanna come in here and make sure that the end of our zipper is not getting sewn on either side. So we're gonna pay really close attention to that. We're gonna come in here and we're gonna keep the zip foot because we wanna get nice and close still. So holding this end of the zipper out, we're gonna start stitching everything together. We'll be able to sort of move our hand once we get past where this zip is. Okay, we should be good to go now. And like I said, like before, we just want to make sure that everything that we're stitching is even. And flat where we're stitching it. And so if we're feeling something sort of not flat, we're just gonna reach in and flatten it out. And I'm just trying to feel for the zipper here, you guys, so that we can move it out of our way before we get to it. There we go. And we're coming up to the other end of that zipper, so I'm just going to sort of reach in here and pull that out as well. don't want those zip ends to get caught up. And then just straight down the long side. And you guys know I'm a terrible cutter, so our lining is too long on one side, but that's totally fine. And let me just show you. So now we've got, okay, one side is all done and attached. We're attached all the way through here, see? Look at how cute that contrast is, you guys. I'll just cut off the excess. Like I said, I'm a terrible cutter. We know this about me if you've watched my videos before. All right, so I'm gonna do that exact same thing, you guys, on our opposite side. Okay, so we're just gonna sort of move that out of the way so that we can grab our other lining piece. This one has our zip on it. Did I add our bag tag anywhere, you guys? I know I pulled one out. Now I don't see it. So I think we have to add our bag tag here really quickly. Let's see here. Let's see. Did we pull one out? All right, well, if we pulled one out, it's gone. So I just grabbed another one, and this is a tag from Heartwood and Hide Co. And I'm just gonna move our interior zip pocket linings out of the way because we don't want to sew through those. We just want to stitch through our lining piece. I'm gonna keep our zipper foot on, which will probably bite me later, but I don't want to switch it out because we still need it. Okay. Like so, and we'll just stitch this on about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. Maybe a little more since we're using the zip foot, and we have to make sure that it sort of grabs onto this tag. Okay, almost. We're just gonna go right back to where we started here. There we go. Bag tag is all set. How did we forget that? Probably lost it. I don't know. It's a mess here, you guys. All right. So we're just going to do the same thing. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but we're going to take our lining. We're going to put it right sides together with our other exterior panel. And we're just going to clip it all the way and stitch it on. The same way that we already did. All right, so we're all stitched together and it's gonna look a little wild, but what we've done for the next step is we've pulled apart our lining and our exterior. And this is our long side here. And so we've made the markings per the instructions, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and on the exterior side only, we're gonna stitch down from this top line to the bottom line. And we're gonna make sure that we reach in and still pull that zipper out of the way and that everything is nice and flat and sort of out of the way. I did clip to help me. That's not necessary, and I'll end up sort of taking out this bottom clip so that we can reach in here and go ahead and pull out our zipper piece, because again, we don't want to stitch through that. Okay, or we'll move it sort of out of the way because we're going to be on the inside here, so we'll scooch that in there with the lining. That's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. Okay, so your zipper end, make sure it's in here with the lining, and we're going to go ahead and stitch from this mark all the way to this mark. Just trying to figure out how I want to get it in there, you know. What do I want to do here? I think I'm going to start from the 3. Oh, actually, at this point, I'm going to switch out to our tank foot. This will just give us a little more stability. And we're just going to stay basically like 1/4 of an inch away from our original stitch line here. Again, just make sure everything is out of your way. And as we sort of move down here to where the zipper is, we're going to get away from that stitch line just a bit. That's okay. Do a nice back stitch here. I'm just going to check our stitches, make sure we're good. I think we are. Unclip. Yeah, we look pretty good. All right. You can take your clips off or leave them, whichever. Then here on the short side, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to push our zipper end sort of into that lining so that it stays out of our way. And here on the short side, you're going to measure from the top . 1.5. Looks like. To 3 inches. So this one's pretty small. And we're going to sew in between those 2 marks, just like how we did the long side. And you know what? This is going to seem like it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, but it will make sense, I promise. Okay, make sure that that zip is out of your way here, and everything else is too. Don't want to accidentally stitch over anything that you're not supposed to. You want to just move that zipper out of your way. All right, there we go. Those are done. So that's what we got going on here, okay? Both sides. We're looking good, you guys. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and just pull away our zip tape, and we're gonna make, you can either take your peeking shears, if you have some. Mine are a total disaster piece. I don't want to cut the zip tape, but we do just want to sort of make it so that our material is going to lie nice and flat. And so what you want to do is just either make little snips, okay, or use your peeking shears, pull away your zip tape, and just along both sides of the exterior, we're going to leave the interior alone, we're just going to make some little snips so that we can turn our bag and do our top stitching. All right, you guys, so we've turned it exterior side out, and you can see those sort of stitches that we made created this end, basically. So we've got just this zip part at the top. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna top stitch both sides, and we're gonna do them separately. So we're not gonna go all the way around, because this is probably one of the most difficult parts of what we're gonna do here is stitching this. Okay, so with that in mind, we're just going to top stitch along both sides, and we're just going to make sure that we keep our lining sort of where we want it, and that we keep our zip in the middle, all that good stuff. This part does not have to be super perfect. We just kind of want to make sure everything stays nice and flat where we want it, and so you do want a nice top stitch so that nothing gets in your way later. But again, this does not have to be perfect. I would suggest using thread that matches your exterior, and then you really don't have to worry about it. And I'm just continuing to sort of pull out the lining so that I can ensure it's where we want it. Teflon foot would help here as well if you have some stickier vinyl, like I do. Get that out of the way there. We'll just come as close as we can. Okay, so one side top stitch is all set here. And like I said, we just kind of got as close as we could. I could maybe get a little closer here on this side, but I'm not going to be too worried about it. I'm going to go ahead and top stitch this other side exactly the same way. All right, you guys, we are top stitched. Good to go. We're going to go a little out of order here. I'm going to finish off these zip ends before we do anything else so that they're easy for us to sort of get to. And so I'm just going to trim off some of this that's kind of gotten all snarly on us. We're going to hit it with some heat, and you could use zip ends, actual zip ends here, The pattern suggests metal. We're actually just going to use some scrap material. So I'm going to hit them with some heat so that they don't continue to fray. Okay. And then I just have some scrap waterproof canvas that's not going to really stand out or anything like that. And we're just going to fold it in half. We'll hit those ends with some heat as well. And we're just going to pop that right over there and stitch over it. Okay, so it does not have to be anything that's super extravagant or anything like that. You don't need metal zip ends. You can still make this bag without it. Okay, and then we'll just cut off the excess. We're gonna hit our edges of this waterproof canvas with some heat as well, and that will just secure it. Okay, there we go. Do the same thing on the other side. Can be difficult to get this sort of under the machine because of all your other materials, so if you don't want to mess with it, again, you can do tons of other things to sort of close these zips off. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab that piece of webbing, and this is going to help us sort of pull everything out where we need it later. So we're just going to center the webbing at the top of the long strips on the exterior side. Okay. So we want to find our center, give it a clip, do the same thing over here. And then we're just going to stitch this webbing piece down. Right there. And this is just a scrap piece of webbing, so I'm just centering it over that center mark. We're going to baste it, and then we'll add in the second piece of exterior. Okay, match up those center markings. And we'll baste everything together here. again, that piece of webbing that will help us when we do our long handle. All right. So now we're putting the bag together. So again, this does not take a very long time to make. We're gonna go ahead and separate our exteriors and our interiors. I'm gonna go ahead, we're not gonna sew the short edge here, but we're gonna stitch all the way around the outside of our exterior up to the handle. So I'm gonna clip all of that, and then we'll stitch that together, and then we'll move to the interior because, like I said, we're already putting our finished bag together. The only thing we'll have left to do here is complete our handle after we've stitched together our exterior. All right, let's move some of my little things out of the way. We are gonna go ahead and start sewing this together. We're gonna follow the seam allowance. This is the long side, but you can start on whichever side you'd like. You do you, boo. It's a lot of material, so I'm kind of like holding it in my lap. Just be mindful of that. And just try to keep yourself lined up with that seam allowance as you go around the curves. That will make for a nice curve. The bottom curve is real slight and easy and totally doable if you've been able to do the zipper. There we go. All right, easy peasy. We're gonna do the lining the exact same way, you guys, so I am not gonna film that because, well, you don't need me to. You guys just saw me do the exterior. We're gonna do the lining the same way. The only difference here is that we're gonna leave about a 6-inch wide opening at the bottom so that we can turn our bag out through that opening. So again, lining is exactly the same, except right here in the middle, you're gonna leave a 6-inch turn hole. All right, we're gonna go ahead through our turn hole and we're gonna turn our bag right side out. Should be pretty easy if you left a hole that's big enough. Just gonna work it through here. Okay, and we're just gonna reach in, and our short side, we should be able to just grab those edges and pull them right out. Lining also. And then for our long side, you're gonna reach in for that webbing here. Okay? That's gonna help you pull this part out. Just take your time here. Don't want to rip any stitches or pull anything too much. Just want to work it in. And you're going to keep sort of working this out. Until you get it all the way. All right, so you really do, you need that webbing, you guys, to just make sure that this like makes it through. It is really so helpful, and you don't need it to stay in there. So we're actually going to pick it out. So this is something you can reuse again for something else. You only sewed this very tip top, but it is necessary. I mean, you don't have to use webbing, you could use something else. You need something in there to just kind of pull everything out where you want it. It is incredibly helpful. So we'll just unpick and remove our webbing, and then we can stitch together our turn hole. All right, so we're unpicked. We're just going to take our turn hole here. Like I said, I left a good amount so that it was really easy for us to turn. So we're just going to have to sort of like finger roll, but make sure not by too much because we're on a curve. So if you just stick your fingers in the corner like a traditional turn hole, it's not going to curve out in the same manner. We want to keep that curve as much as possible. So I'm just going to kind of finesse our curve in here as we turn over our material. And we're clipping so that we stay exactly where we want to. Okay. Now we'll go ahead, close this baby up, and then we can work on our strap. And this is just 1/8 of an inch away from the edge here on the bottom. And we always just go a little bit past where the turn hole started and stopped to make sure that we've closed it up good. Cut our loose threads. And go ahead and put our interior into our bag. Okay, like so. It's looking so cute, you guys. All right, so now what we need to do is make a knot on the long side of our strap. Okay, and depending on what material you use, obviously it's going to depend on how easy it is for you to make a knot. We're just kind of working it. So that's a pretty big knot. Okay, it's fine for now because we're going to move it. Now what we're going to do is place our short and long sides together to stitch them closed. So to do that, we're going to combine our exterior and our interior here, okay? And we're just basically clipping everything together. It's a little difficult, I will admit, but it's not so bad that it can't be done. Just kind of have to finagle a little bit here. Move our knot down a little. Okay, so once we get there halfway, we're gonna just go ahead, add the back part in as well, like so. Okay, so you're stitching all the layers together. Nope, you're not. All right, hang on guys, let me try to figure this out. All right, so here's what we want to do. We want to basically make it so that our strap fans out, okay, like so. And then we're gonna put this sort of fanned out strap, and we're putting them so that our exteriors are exterior out, okay? That's gonna make it so that when we flip our strap, everything will match up and be closed off and all that good stuff, okay? So I know it doesn't make a ton of sense that as I'm explaining it, but so you see our interior is on the inside and our exterior is on the outside. That's how we're going to put it together. Not the easiest thing to do here, but it is doable. And if the inside gets a little wonky, that's okay. Just want to make sure that we get all the exterior here. Okay, like that. So we're fanned out all the way around. This is not going to be easy, but we can do it. Okay, now we're just going to stitch everything together here, and this is where you definitely want a heavier foot if you haven't been using one. We're just going to take our time here. Okay, we're sort of like opening it as we go. I don't know what that sound is. Oh, we were stuck. On something. I don't know what. And we're still just moving as we go, opening as we go. As it sort of stitches together, it gets a little bit easier. Oh, I think we ran out of bobbin, you guys. Oh, we did. That's what that sound was. How unfortunate. All right, we'll have to wind a bobbin. All right, guys, fresh bobbin. Let's try this again. Oh, now it looks like our thread has come. What's going on? Sometimes I backstitch a lot and it doesn't always like that. I'm using Text 35. Okay. All right, let's go again. Third time's a charm here, you guys. There wasn't necessarily anything wrong, but I didn't want our thread to fray and then become an issue. Making sure that our thread catches here. Sort of moving as we go. And just the big things that we want to make sure here is that we catch the outside. The inside, I mean, it matters, but no one's ever going to see the inside of right here, ever. But we do want to make sure we catch all of the outsides. All right, we're gonna check that. Like I said, we just want to make sure we caught all the exterior. And it looks like we did, you guys. So cute. All right, we're just gonna return this just to make, sort of grab some of our loose threads here and see if we can't button them up a little bit. Like I said, it doesn't really matter. No one's gonna be up in here, but you know, just do a little cleanup. Okay, all right. We're gonna stick this in. And And then that leaves us with just this little hole here that we left open that we need to close up. And we're just going to sort of smush in that lining so we can get our exterior. With the goal being that we're able to move our knot sort of over this section here. Just want to make sure that we can move our knot, basically. And it seems like I'll be able to. So we'll sort of move it to this side here. Okay. Right? Feel good about that. To cover our seam is basically what it sounds like we're gonna do, because we want to top stitch this closed. Yeah, we want to hide the joint seams. Okay, that makes sense to me. Okay, we're good. So we're gonna hide this right here. So I'm not gonna turn this over in on itself because that will be really bulky. All right, let's go ahead and top stitch this together, and then we'll move our knot over, and then you guys will be all done. And you know, I'm gonna put our Teflon foot on here, I think, or maybe not, because we're gonna do some jumping over some material. All right, and this is just a top stitch here. I'm going to back stitch here. And then I'm going to do this side. And just because of the machine that we're using, we're actually going to leave this little section just as it is. We'll put our knot right over that so you'll never see it. It's not going to be something that is ever sort of out in the wild. But we'll get as close as we can from this side as well. And if you have a machine that can sort of go over all that bulk with no issues, like obviously go for it. All right. I'm gonna switch you guys up and over so we can move this knot. We're gonna do that just by sort of grabbing that underneath part of our handle. We really want this to go to one side, so I'm going to keep pulling. until we've covered everything that we want covered here. We want to get it so that it's nice and our bottom edges are where they should be and the top is where it should be. Okay, like I said, this is a bulky knot because of the material that we used, but you just kind of work it out until you have a knot that you really like so. Okay, I love that, and I think, you guys, that we're done. Let's head on over to the finish table and take a look. Yeah, you guys, we did it. We did it. It is so cute. Like I said, I know that I raved about this at the beginning, but it's adorable. And the way that you do the strap just makes so much sense. And of course, we left a little bit of it open because we were going to cover it with our knot here. And so we just made sure that that piece was in there. So if you're sewing on a domestic machine and you get to that part and you're like, oh, I can't get over that, that's okay. Just leave it and make sure you put your knot over it. This is one of the really amazing things about being able to move the knot back and forth is you can put it wherever is going to work for you. It does not have to be on one side or the other. It can be wherever you want it to be. Okay, so we've got our big interior. Fits plenty. This can be an everyday bag. We have a very large back zipper pocket in here as well, which love. I love a zipper pocket to keep my lip gloss, my lipstick, my chapstick, all those goodies that you don't want sort of hanging around on the bottom of your bag. We have a cool little design here, which I absolutely love. I've never made one of those before. So we did some things we've never done, right? We did the knot this way. I did make a knot bag, but it wasn't like this. I've never done a zipper like this before. Really like creative and, you know, here for it. I think it came out so good. And it's beautiful. It's cool shape. You know, it's going to be like a conversation starter. If you're walking in somewhere holding this bag, someone's going to ask you where it came from. And then you get to say, oh, I made this. Do you like it? You know, I love a good conversation starter bag. You do too. I know you do. All right, you guys. Well, I hope that you enjoyed today's tutorial. I'm so happy to be back from vacation and here with you all again. I missed you guys. I hope that you missed me too. I hope that you'll make this because I really think you're gonna love it. Keep going through the steps, like I said at the beginning. You'll get there and your end result is gonna be totally beautiful, designer inspired, and ready for fall. Remember to interact with this video in a positive way if you liked today. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will see you soon.